What kind of fucking question is that? I mean, let's be honest. Are you freaking serious? I'm talking about her. This one right here. Why would you ask somebody that kind of question? Oh, you want to be a hoe? As if it's something to be proud of. It's not. It's disgusting. Get a life. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So apparently Bobbi Althoff, uh, Althoff. Her last name is so weird to pronounce, man. I hate it. But so it's saying that she fell off. Let's see why.
So it has been quite a long time since we last checked in on Bobbi Althoff. Around a year and a half ago, I actually declared her the biggest industry plant I had ever witnessed hit the podcast scene.
Hi guys, welcome to the Really Good Podcast with your host Bobbi Althoff.
Basically, this woman came out of nowhere and had some huge guests like Drake, Mark Cuban, and other celebrities on her show that she dubbed the Really Good Podcast.
I think my mom named me after a lawyer, which always kind of like rubbed me the wrong way.
Within a week of the Drake interview,
you want to know what's an industry plant? It's somebody who comes out of nowhere and then all of a sudden have an interview with big celebrities. Usually people have to build a channel to reach that type of level. And yet she came out of nowhere and all of a sudden she's having an interview with all these big celebrities, and it's like, how?
Bobbi was being represented by one of the top talent agencies and getting mainstream publicity. For this reason, people began to call her an industry plant because the only content that she had made online before this was essentially a spoof of mommy blogger TikTok content, where she did garner millions of followers, mainly moms all around the country who liked her sarcastic brand of humor.
There is nothing more embarrassing than walking around with one of these. Everyone knows how it got there. They know what you did.
How is that embarrassing? See, this is one thing that's very unnormal when it comes to women. It's the fact that they're able to carry a living being inside of them. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. You should be proud of yourself because that is a huge honor. There's a lot of women out there who wishes to be in this position and yet they're not able to.
She claims that she parlayed this TikTok career into another career in podcasting after she offered her followers $300 if they could get a celebrity to come onto her podcast.
There's like a finder's fee, right? You said if you get a celebrity, I will pay you $300.
Yeah.
She says that this offer led to the episode with Funny Marco, which would in turn lead to her being in bed with Drake.
Bro, dead ass people saying that she got her whole skit from Funny Marco. If you watch Funny Marco, you'll understand why.
You can picture her to be like the slightly more successful Hawk Tuah girl. To me, their careers actually draw a lot of parallels to each other, but one had to tell the world her methods for sucking dudes off before she got thrown into the belly of the industry matrix. You know, they both had that type of lightning in a bottle rise to fame that left onlookers saying, damn, this world is getting really f***ed up. But to be fair to Bobbi, she does seem a lot more intelligent than Hawk Tuah.
Hawk Tuah. Hawk Tuah. Hawk Tuah. Say it aggressive, like Hawk Tuah.
Whatever happened to that chick, by the way?
I'm gonna leave a link at the end of the video about the Hawk Tuah girl and how her whole scam was happening and pretty much what's going on with her as to why she pretty much disappeared. If you haven't heard about it, just stay to the end and you'll find out why.
Anywho, I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I guess she's still asleep. And with Bobbi having such an astronomical rise to fame in such a short period of time, and the fact that most people felt like she was directly biting her entire deadpan comedic style from Funny Marco himself, she started to get a lot of ridicule online. I don't think it helped that she missed her son's birthday party to be there in bed with Drake that day.
You know?
I flew all the way here
You did. I really do appreciate
on my daughter's
that.
first birthday.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
You missed your daughter's first birthday for
To
this?
be here.
Dark. Regret that you'll never be able to undo.
Yeah.
Horrible parenting.
Something people thought was a joke at first, as it was her brand to be dry and sarcastic, but now it's been revealed that she was being totally serious. The other thing was, when she was doing these interviews, she would constantly be making passes at these men, asking them if they would sleep with her, or if she was their type.
Am I your type?
I'd do it.
Thank you.
Would you date someone that looked?
Something that is not only strange to do as an interviewer, but also it got even more wild when people found out that she was still married. Strangely enough, the dude would actually file for divorce the very same month the Drake podcast came out, which led to quite a bit of speculation online.
I'd do it.
One thing I will say is that she was way ahead of her time when it came to the Drake mistreatment, deleting their interview right after it started going viral, and hating at his concert. But after a while, the sarcastic, too cool to care bit really got old, and she even got put in her place by rapper Offset, who let her know that she wasn't all that.
You wanted to be on my podcast.
Why you keep saying that shit, man? I honestly didn't even want to do this shit. I don't fucking do interviews. You already told me you looked me up. I'm walking out on bullshit. I'm fucking with you because they're making me.
As a matter of fact, he cooked the hell out of her.
You need a little bit of seasoning. You ain't got no seasoning, man. You like a plain piece of chicken just on the thing, you pull it off, and then you serve the dish. You need some motherfucking seasoning, man.
You can leave now.
This is my hotel. I pay for this motherfucker. You can leave now.
And then she changed up her whole look, and she went on a show with Keke Palmer, and right there she got accused of being an industry plant right to her face.
I know.
You're an industry plant, right?
I am, but
you do feel kind of planty. We do have the same manager, so is this?
I know, isn't that
planted?
crazy?
It feels a bit planty.
This is definitely
you got here in 5 minutes. It took me 20 years.
Hey, it has been a minute.
What I think industry plant is, it's like somebody that has been is tied to someone else in the industry and uses those connections to capitalize, and they have zero talent.
I'm not an anythinger. I don't have any talents.
And then people started to say that she was trying to manufacture moments. She had Ryan Garcia chasing her around the room like they were on the playground. He would later tweet out that they had this intimate situation after that was recorded, and she continued with this reputation that she was kind of being bounced around the industry.
You got some close-up?
I like to read people's messages, not get room tours.
Let me read your messages.
No. I don't like
I'll let you read one message.
Bro, think of people like Kai Cenat. How long do you think it took him before he got his first big celebrity on his stream? And now all of a sudden she just...
If you let me read one message.
I delete all of my messages. Are you cleaning? I do. You don't? You keep your messages?
I delete my messages?
Yeah, do you keep yours?
People that delete their messages are cheaters. I'm not a liar or a cheater. I hate liars.
And I feel like relevancy-wise, she kind of just came and went, and honestly, Hawk Tuah kind of took her spot online. Nowadays, Bobbi's channel and TikTok are mainly inactive, and the last couple of podcasts only garnered a small percentage of what she was averaging only a year ago. And I actually put myself through absolute agony by watching over an hour of Bobbi being interviewed by Forbes and Wired magazine. Bobbi Althoff, the deadpan podcast host America can't get enough of. Wow, a whopping 10K views. America just can't get enough. Obviously, her publicist got her this opportunity, as a lot of celebrities and online talent alike do this type of thing, so they can still try and seem relevant to their sponsors and other people kind of pouring money into their careers. And before we get into all the out-of-touch things she said during these interviews, I actually did learn a lot about Bobbi for the good and the bad. And after listening to her come-up story actually doesn't sound that outrageous to me.
For a few years before, I was on TikTok, just doing brand deals posting.
But she is honestly just not very likable. Coming up, she claims that she was posting 5 to 10 TikToks per day for years, where she routinely raked in millions of views, followers, and hundreds of thousands of dollars per year.
But my goal for the first year of once I started getting views and getting followers was that every single day I had to have one video that I posted that got 1 million views. So I would keep trying and trying and trying.
Now using the...
So here's a question that I have. Did somebody force her to become an interviewer on a podcast? And if not, why would she sign up for something that she clearly doesn't enjoy? I mean, there are interviews where, like I said, there are interviews where she said it herself. She doesn't want to be here. And so that's why I also get the vibe that she is somebody who's very, very wealthy, or she's from a wealthy family. And so she wants to earn her wealth.
Wayback Machine, I can see that her numbers do pretty much align with her story, but I do still think that after the Drake podcast, they really tried to make her this big thing, and it just kind of burnt out and then fell flat on its face for the same reason that industry plants in the music sector never stay hot, because the fans they garner are so incredibly generic and fickle that they would just move on to the next trend like nothing. And one thing I did find very interesting,
and that's why you should always keep this in mind. It doesn't matter how big you make it, those numbers are extremely hard to keep. It doesn't matter. You will eventually fall off one day or another. Unless you become one of those idiots who decide to sell their soul and then, become an industry plant.
In these interviews was the insistence that she has always been driven by wanting to be famous.
I've always wanted to act or have some type of leg in Hollywood, kind of. So I felt, my family always says that if anybody in our family was going to end up where I ended up, it would be me, because I was the most driven towards that.
And even more by wanting to be rich.
How'd you become an influencer or creator?
Just wanting to make money.
She even says that the only reason she did podcasting a TikTok in the first place was because she saw how much money other people made doing it and got motivated.
Mentally decided that she made at least $300 a year on her podcast alone, and I was like, that's what I need to do next. I need a podcast.
And for someone who loves money,
I call bullshit.
So much, she seems incredibly lazy about her job. Multiple times she brags about the fact that she goes into her podcast doing little to zero research on her guest that day.
And what is your interviewing technique?
Just no research, show up, and ask questions. I was researching how he interviews people, and I was like, oh God, this is a lot of work. Let me just go in there and know nothing. It's so much work.
And keep in mind, she's doing this in the face of 2 career journalists who do not look very amused.
Is the notebook just for show? Because you kind of have it open and the paper on top of it.
This is just my method.
It's okay.
This is my method. I'm a journalist, so I have my method.
I was making around $250 to $300 a year.
thousand.
Yeah.
From brand
deals on TikTok.
Wow.
And 250 is great and all, but it's hard to come up with content with just me every day.
$250,000 a year as an annual income is great and all.
Yes.
It is great.
It is
it's
great.
Yeah, she's out here making $300,000 per year, sound like a minimum wage job at Sonic, which I don't think is a winning strategy for gaining public favor. To me, above all else, it really just seems like there's really no passion in anything Bobbi does, and it's all strictly for the money or the clout, which in some fields can definitely work, but not in the entertainment industry.
I hope that I go from...
I mean, don't get me wrong. Over time, celebrities, I guarantee you, they get burned out. They don't want to be, on set for movies or being in front of paparazzis, taking their pictures and stuff like that. But you have to fake it. You have to pretend that you're enjoying it. Even though deep down inside, you hate it. You don't want to be here. You don't want anybody to take your pictures or whatever. So if she want to be in a position where she wants to interview big celebrities, she was given that opportunity and she blew it. How? She's not funny. Her interviews are literally boring as hell. And it's just like, bro, how can you not do any research? That's literally the basics of doing podcasts. If you're having somebody come over, the least you can do is learn about this person so that way you have something to talk about on set. Clearly, you tell me if her stories lined up. This is not an attitude of somebody who is willingly wanting to do this.
D-list to A-list. That's my goal in 10 years.
From D-list to A-list.
Yes.
She still insists over and over, though, that she would be fine going back to a job at Jersey Mike's.
At the end of the day, if I had to go back and work at Jersey Mike's again to support myself, I'll make your sandwich for you.
Yeah, I'm calling absolute bullshit on that, okay? She wasn't even cool with $300,000. And during these interviews, both of the interviewers indirectly question her rise to fame and make allusions to the idea that someone in the background pulls a lot of strings for her.
What do you think is your appeal? Why do you think you became a thing?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Why are you looking at me like that? Well, early on, I was like, is that a joke? Like, what is an industry plant? You guys, and I would just play into it because I was like, there's no way people actually think that. But then I realized, like, what people actually think.
I did my reading, they actually think
they really do. And I think that it makes sense. Like, from an outside looking in perspective, I can see why they would think that.
Basically, it seems like nobody's buying her story. And at one point, she even cries over the hate that she receives online.
How many people out there or podcasts out there who have millions of subscribers wish to have people like Drake or Kanye West? Bro, I'm talking hundreds of podcasts. You who came out of nowhere, nobody knew who you were, maybe except for your TikTok followers. I'm normally not on TikTok, so I didn't even know who she was until she started having all these interviews with these big celebrities. And then all of a sudden, you just blew up out of nowhere, and now you're telling me that you were not a plant? Get real.
Sometimes it's just constructive criticism. It can be a little mean, but yeah. Doesn't bother me too much.
Other than that, when it comes to Bobbi, there were these pictures of men carrying her out of the club. Someone put together that she was allegedly dating this NFL player based on one of her posts, and then she got totally embarrassed when this dude did not want to claim her like that, denying the allegations on Twitter after they caught his ass in 4K. I mean, truly, there's nothing much worse than when you think you were in a full-blown relationship with someone, and it turns out they were hiding your ass the whole time or really don't want anything to do with you like that publicly. And so now she's been on TikTok crying.
Just like hard to imagine finding someone who is truly good for you. It's hard to imagine there's a world where there's like someone who's actually meant for you.
I mean, talk about a turn of events. She was online talking about it's time for her hoe phase.
So what you doing for these 2 years? You gonna be a hoe?
I have to do a hoe? Yeah, maybe I will.
Oh no, you said you married young and you have your 2 kids already and you're divorced. Isn't that what?
Now, what kind of question is that? I mean, let's be honest. Are you freaking serious? I'm talking about her. This one right here. Why would you ask somebody that kind of question? Oh, you want to be a hoe? As if it's something to be proud of. It's not. It's disgusting. Get a life.
Divorced people do after that?
Just sleep around and have fun.
And now she's recording herself tearing up on camera.
And I got lonely. Met a guy around Thanksgiving. And I think things moved really fast. I don't know. I thought it was fucking fate. Clearly it wasn't. It was really sweet. It had raised the bar for me, which sometimes sucks because then it's like, fuck. I didn't want the bar to be raised at all. Dating is just hard, you guys. Like,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
I don't know, I always just think it's an interesting case study to see how quickly these individuals fall out of favor with the public. For her and the Hawk Tuah girl, it was like trying to live in a house with no foundation, like that bitch is up on stilts. All it really takes is a little adversity to knock that shit down. And listen guys, I truly think Drake owes this chick a room in his compound. Like if he had not laid up with her in bed and put her on the map, this all likely would have never happened. Maybe Kendrick wouldn't even have dissed his ass, maybe he was at home on his laptop and this is what sent him over the edge. He knew at this moment that Drake was not like him. In all seriousness though, Bobbi seems alright, but as far as her maintaining a career online, I just don't really see the longevity here, given her motivations are all wrapped up in clout, material possessions, and greed. Not to even mention the fact that it seems like she couldn't really give a damn about her podcast or producing it in a better way. But I want to know what you guys think about this latest Bobbi Althoff update down below. I also want to thank Sundays for Dogs for sponsoring.
Anyways, yeah, all in all, she is pretty much okay. So like, in this world, you have to understand something. There are people who are born with a talent and they don't have the money, and there are people who are not born with the talent but they have the money. She is one of those who obviously didn't have the talent to, you know, to run her own podcast, but she had the money to do so because she had connection with all of these people. All right, and so that's why her podcast did not make it. All in all I gotta say is, baby girl, it was given to you on a silver platter and you decided to drop it. I mean, if this opportunity was given to anybody else, I'm sure they would have taken it serious and made millions off of it, clearly indicating that you were a plant. Later.